All right, so here is the where we are at on this one. Okay, so let's quickly run over this. Of course, we've done all the darts and taken out all the darts and ironed it, both for the lining piece and for the main fabric. So now we're going to go ahead and start joining the pieces together. So, and the way I'm joining it is I am joining the lining piece, the upper bodice lining piece, to the lower bodice lining piece, and then I'm going to join the main fabric upper bodice to the main fabric lower bodice. Okay, this is what we're going to go ahead and do for both the front piece and the back piece as well. And then the next thing I want to show us is the sleeve. Okay, so the sleeve, because of the tweaking we're going to have on the sleeve, so this sleeve, the place I pinned is the front side of the sleeve, so I'm not going to be taking out this pin because it might get confusing if I take it out. I can only take it out after I have joined it, when I'm ready to join it. All right, so for this sleeve, these are the other part of the sleeve. The other part that's going to be on top of the sleeve as well. This is the other part of the sleeve, and I want to show you quickly show you what I have done in terms of joining this to the piece of the lace piece. Okay, so first you sew it normal, you just run a straight stitch. Okay, just join the two together as you can see, and this is the back side, the wrong side, and this is the line we marked in the close the 1 inch mark. I have run is a loose stitch here. Now this loose stitch I am going to be pulling to gather it, but not gather it with very small. I'm just going to gather it just a little bit to give it that gather effect. Okay, I'm going to be gathering it to give it that gather effect, and then I'm going to go ahead and match on it to keep the gathered effect permanent. Okay, so now to keep this inner part of this sleeve clean, the way I have done here, you join it and here is looking rough. We don't want that. What I went ahead to do is I went ahead to fold it in and hem like you're folding in a bias. This is how you do it when you're trying to fold in a bias, and this is what I have done. Okay, so this is it. When you're folding in a bias, this is the front piece, the front part, and this is the loose stitch I made that we're going to be gathering. And so this is it. So here you fold it in, and I'm going to show us how I did this when I'm repeating the second one on this side. I'm just going ahead and show you that, but I'm just going to show you how this is how it's going to come out. So I've not done this one. I'm going to be doing the same thing. So basically what I did was take it to the part of the fabric, okay, and then what you do here is fold it twice like you're going to hem it. The way you hem the edge of a fabric, you fold in the rough edges, and you give you this neat outcome, and you just go ahead and match on it very close to the edge. That's basically what I did here. Okay, now when you are done doing this, you're going to take the sleeve, okay, noting that this is the right side. You're going to also find the right side on this other Ankara piece, and I indicated it with markings. Okay, so which means this doesn't go here. So let me take this out real quick. Okay, so what we have here, so this being the right side of this, I'm going to be placing this like so. So my job is to do this. I'm going to sew this together like this. I'm going to first run a loose stitch holding this and this together, just a loose stitch holding it together, and then I'm going to go ahead and hem this place, hem here, hem it with 1/4 inch, just to make it look so it will look neat. And then I am going to pull on this place to give it a little bit of gather for what we're trying to achieve, a little bit of gather before we will attach this to the main bodice of the dress. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing for the sleeve part. All right, so to join, now I'm joining the pieces. I'm joining the pieces together. I'm going to join the lining pieces to lining pieces, join the main fabric to main fabric, and then as you can see, if you look at this, you will see that I'm trying to match the dart line for the upper bodice to the dart line of the lower bodice. This doesn't really matter so much. It doesn't have to be exact for the lining, but for the main fabric, for the Ankara piece or whatever fabric you're using for the main fabric, please make sure to match the dart lines for the upper bodice and the lower bodice. This Ankara we're going to be putting as the top of the top sleeve. Let me show us how I achieved this hemming over here, this sewing over here. So this part, As you can see, I've already joined it with 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do now is move it to the side of the Ankara, because we obviously cannot be sewing it on top of the lace fabric. Is going to be showing. So move it to the Ankara, and especially if you are using a matching thread, it's better that way, so that the sewing will not be so obvious. So I fold it in the way you do when you are hemming a normal edge of a fabric. You hem, just fold it in, put it under your machine, and sew. Also, please sew very close to the edge. That's how you show professionalism. When you sew very close to the edge, it gives you a neat work. Alright, so when you are done sewing that part, you are going to now bring it to and match the top of the sleeve to the top of this sleeve as well. As you can see, this is the mark we have made to indicate the right side, and for the lace piece, I pinned them, and so I'm just going to take out the pin, just leave it on one of them. Okay, this is the right side, so I'm placing the wrong side of the Ankara on the right side of the lace. Okay, that way you have both right sides on top, and I'm going to be matching this. The point is just match it, sew a straight line to keep it together. This is just to hold it together, so that when you're attaching it to the dress, it will not move. Okay. And next thing I'm going to do is try to gather this. Now the point is to make this place and this place align. So this excess is here, we're going to be turning it into gathers to give us a nice effect. So here I am pinning this place to this place, so that when I drag it, I will know where my gather should stop. Okay, so you can also match this thing like this on this other side, place it on it, so that to help guide you. So I'm pinning it to help guide me. And so that 1 inch mark in the loose stitch we made, I'm just going to pick one of the thread. You guys already know how to do this gather, and I'm going to gently pull. As you pull, you even out the gather around to create the effect we are trying to achieve. So you can pull everything from one direction, or you can pull from either direction, both directions, to even it out. Make sure that this gather is supposed to have this effect on top of it. So you will notice it when it's worn on the mannequin or when you wear it. So I am going to go over this way, and I'm also going to pull this one as well. And then even it out. Now when you stretch, the point is when you stretch this, you should have the two. So I'm just going to make a knot here, so that when I stretch that, pull that part, it's not going to lose. Also, don't forget to hem here. This place is supposed to be hemmed, so I'm just going to fold it in and hem it, but I won't do it directly because this, I've not changed my thread. I will change the thread to a milk off-white color, and I will do it. Okay, at this point I can tie this one as well. I can tie this place, or better still, to keep it in that direction so that it does not loosen out, I am just going to top stitch it. So as you can see, I've separated it. I move this one out, and I'm going to just top stitch it to keep it, and I'm going to lock my stitches so that it stays in place. So spread the gather in a way that it will be everywhere, so that it won't be concentrated on one place. So now that I have top stitched it, this is going to permanently remain like this. So when you wear it, it's going to give this poofed off effect when it is worn, because of this gathered side, okay, because of this excess. So this is what we're trying to create. And So now I am going to go ahead and hem here before we start attaching it to the bodice when we are done joining the bodice. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this same process on the other sleeve. This gather that I've gotten here, looking at it, this gather is not full. This is not like the weight of the gather I want. The gather is not full, it's not making the statement I want, and so for that I had to recut this top part here. I've recut it, and this one I've made it way longer than the second one. Okay, the width is longer, and but it's the same length of the sleeve, but the width, the side is so long, is extended, so that when I gather it this time, it will have more gather and it will give me the effect I want. And also, as you can see, for this other one, when I cut this one here, let me just place this on top of this to show us something. When I cut this one, I cut here to the exact width of the main sleeve. This is the main sleeve. Here is the main sleeve. So I cut this to be an exact match, so that when I place it together, they will align. Okay, that is how I cut this one. But this other one, I have cut it in a way that it is just way longer, and this place is longer than the width of the top of the main sleeve. Okay, as you can see, look at this. This is the full length. Even if I fold it in half, okay, this is folding it in half, and this is the sleeve. If I fold the sleeve in half like this, this is it. You see that this is way longer even while unfold. Okay, so the purpose of this is because I want to also gather the top here, because I really want this Ankara piece that's going to be on top of this place, I want it to be puffed up. I want it to have a puff. So I'm going to be gathering the top here and here. So I'm going to be repeating it. In other words, I will lose out this one I have attached to the sleeve here. I'm going to lose it out and redo it, because what I want is something that's a bit more fuller than this, so that it will give me the effect I am looking for, which I'm not getting right now. I'm not feeling it right now. Okay, so I'm going to repeat it. And so to repeat it, the first I'm going to do, I also cut out long strips of the lace that I'm going to be attaching to this one. And as you can also see, I have marked out a straight line on the wrong side of the fabric. This is where I am going to be making the loose stitch. So I'm going to run a loose stitch all the way to the end. I will run it on both of them, and then, but that's going to come out later. So but now let me join these ones. Let me join this to the lace piece. So right side facing right side, and I'm going to be using 1/2 inch. Okay, alright, so I'm going to be joining this one as well. If you already know how I sew, you know I hardly cut thread unless I want to explain. So here I'm joining this one, right side facing right side. Okay, so for this one, now that since we've joined this one like this, I'm going to go ahead and hem it so that there will be no rough part inside of the sleeve, because it's going to be top of the sleeve. So, and to do that, this allowance, I'm just going to be folding it in like this. I'm going to fold it twice and top stitch it on top of the Ankara part. We can't do it on the net part, so I'm doing it on the Ankara part. Okay, and do well to top stitch it very close to the end. Okay, so that it will lay neatly on the Ankara. So when you iron it, it will come out looking very clean. Okay, so I have top stitched it. If you look closely, you see how clean it is. Top stitch it, and so there's no roughness on this part. So what I'm going to do now is sew a loose stitch all the way straight in the 1 inch we have marked in. Okay, I'm going to make a loose stitch here and also make a loose stitch at the edge here, the part where I'm going to be joining it to the lace sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to, I'm just repeating exactly what I've done on the first sleeve here, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Alright, so here I have pinned it middle to middle. I pinned the main fabric and the top sleeve fabric middle to middle, and I've gathered the Ankara part. So now I'm going to be matching it here so I can sew them together to make it one piece. And as you are working, please do spread out these gathers all around. So that everywhere will be evenly gathered. So I'm also going to gather this one until it matches this one in length. So at the end here, I'm just pinning it, so I can now use my hand to arrange it and sew on it. Okay, so this is it. This one is attached. So I'm going to repeat the same process of gathering this one in the middle, the way I gather the other one, and then we continue. Okay, so I have gathered this top part. Okay, so right now this one has become a part of this sleeve. Okay, so now to make that puffiness we are working towards to come out very well, I am also going to go ahead and pull this one. I'm going to gather the 1 inch, the 1 inch line we made, the 1 inch loose stitch. I'm going to gather it. Now for this other one, now you may try to make don't gather it to the exact length of the main sleeve like we did in the other one we made mistake on. Okay, so don't gather it to match it. Gather it in a way that this one will still have some freeness. It will be free a bit, to be hanging up there. It will not be lap exactly like this. Okay, we're trying to create a puffiness, not make them equal. So while you gather it, don't make them exactly equal. So that's what I want to mention. Okay, so this, I have this like this. Now I can also gather from here to try and align all of them. Okay, here, so I have this. I think what I have now is good enough for what I'm working towards. So let me bring the camera closer and show us. Okay, so what I'm trying to explain here is that alright, so what I'm trying to explain is that you can see that this method now, when we made this Ankara way bigger, is giving the effect of that puffiness. Okay, you can see it's really puffy, and I've gathered it here very well. Okay, now this one, I am just going to go ahead, and you can decide to top stitch here, to just top stitch here, just join the Ankara to the main sleeve and do the same thing here. But before you do that, you have to go ahead and hem the lace. I don't want to see the lace hanging out like this. You can leave it if you want, because this was like net, it will not shred, but I'm going to go ahead and do it because I want to have a neatly finished work. So this is the back, this is the wrong side, you can see. So this, it came out well, so let's continue. Okay, so to keep this gather that I've made permanent like this, I'm also going to go ahead and top stitch on top of it. And as you can see, I'm taking out the main fabric. I'm only top stitching on the Ankara itself, not on the, it will not be directly on the main fabric, the main lining sleeve, sorry. So this top stitching is to make sure that the gather that we've made, it will stay like that. When you top stitch on top of it like this, it keeps the gather will not be losing. So make sure to lock the stitching from at the beginning, and also lock it at the end as well. Okay, so now that we're done joining the pieces together, these are all the pieces. I've joined them. Now we're going to be attaching the shoulder line, that's the yoke. And this is the altered yoke we cut out from the main yoke, because we don't want this one to have a full yoke that's covering from shoulder to shoulder. Okay, so because of that, we had to do this alteration. And now this alteration, we have cut it out, transferred it to fabric, as you can see. So this is the front, the F, and this is the back. So what we have here is the complete sleeve. So what I'm going to do now is, let me show us using the front piece. So I'm going to take out the pins, and as you can see, I cut it on fold, so that there will be no joining on the front side. Okay, I cut it on fold. This is very important when you're cutting it. Cut it on fold. Okay, so this one like this is coming this way, so I'm going to be placing it from the end of this cut. This is where you start. This is how we cut it out. So this is where you're going to start. You're going to pin this down. Okay, so this is one sleeve, and this other one too. From this end as well, I'm going to place this here and pin it. So now that we've pinned this down, okay, I'm going to place the lining piece on it. I'm going to place the lining piece right side facing the right side of the fabric on it like so, and I'm going to go ahead and sew. Starting from this end, I am going to sew it. Now another thing I want to teach us is how to conceal, how to properly lay so that this place will lay flat. Okay, to do that, okay, so I'm placing my hemming gum on it and I'm going to leave it so on top of it. This will aid you when you want to iron this thing down. It will come out very well. So at this top here, I'm using 1/2 inch. Okay, I'm taking out the pins. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make notches on this top part. So now I can top stitch this. Now the purpose of this this hemming gum I've added here is so that when you turn this over and iron it, the hemming gum is going to help to keep this place laid perfectly. So that is the purpose, obviously. Okay, this is a shoulder line that we're going to be joining the to sew the sleeve. Okay, all right, that's for that. And then what I want to show us next is to give us a neatly finished hem. To give us a neatly finished hem, we have to repeat the same process we have done in our series 1 of Ankara bustier gown. If you have not seen that video, do well to check it out as well. I taught a different design of Ankara gown in that video. You can also check it out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew. And so since this is a full lining, that's why you are able to do this design, this style. So I'm going to sew using 1/4 inch all the way. All right, so you turn it this way. So at the end of the day, we are going to be having this as a neatly finished edge like so. Okay, that's the purpose. And I mentioned it when we're transferring to fabric, why we had to make this place longer than this and than the lining, why we had to make the main fabric longer than the lining. This is the purpose. Okay, when you iron it, it will show and it will be better. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this whole process I have done here, the joining of the top of the lining piece from the top and hemming of the down part. I'm going to repeat this process on this other side. I'm going to repeat it here, and when I'm done, I'm going to repeat it on everything I've done. I'll repeat on the back piece, and then we can now add the zip for the back.